Hello, my friends, and welcome back once again to Hambbage Hardcore Minecraft. Um, Not much of a cliffhanger. We stubbed our toe and tumbled right off the cliff at the end of the last episode. And for those of you who are watching in order, I hope you enjoyed. For anyone who may be just picking this up or caught a video at random, I encourage you to go back at least one episode and at least catch the last 30 minutes or so to kind of catch up with where we're at today. If you're not interested in that, we can just spill the beans in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we died. If you waited through the slow countdown, you're yourself to blame for the spoiler, but we were doing so well, and I did go back and review the video. I did not crouch slide off any soul sand, as savvy viewers may have seen themselves if they backed up or just watched closely in real time. Yeah, I legitimately was dealing with the blocks, trying to place, and just full on tried to get to the cobble I'd placed and just miffed it right into that lava. So fully, even, it would have fully been my mistake anyway. I'm not. You don't need to pass blame in a Minecraft world. I see so many people, rage and bugs and all this kind of stuff. Just own it. Yeah, it would, whether I had crouched on a block I knew I shouldn't have, or as I did, just straight up walked into the lava. I put myself in a situation I shouldn't have been in, and it was a shame that it happened, but it did, and that gives us this wonderful new opportunity to kick off a whole new world. So, with that being said, let's get after it. Why don't we? So, here we are back at the screen. We're going to create a new world, and I was kind of thinking around. I mean, anytime you lose a world and have the potential for new stuff going, your mind just kind of, the possibilities and what could have been, for all that, I slept wonderfully. And for anyone who doesn't know, the kind of the order, as I'm recording this, I had just published the second to last episode of World 2, and it is now available for your viewing pleasure. So check that one out. That was our relocation of our high-priced mending villager. Remember him? So we'd done that, and probably this evening, I would guess we'll schedule the death video to go up for. So we're talking about it, and I know none of you guys have even had a chance to view that yet, but that's kind of the nature of things until we start to stream. So I'm not going to talk as much through the initial steps in this world. You guys know, hey, I'm punching a tree. I need to get wood. I need to make tools. Even more than in the previous ones, we're not going to worry too much about the instructional stuff of what's going on. If you have questions, if there's something you'd like me to talk about, or you wonder why I did a particular thing, feel free to give comment, and I will be happy to address it in a future video. Understand that at times that may be, depending on how long an individual play session is, it may be a handful of videos when I get a chance to see it and get back to it, but I will do my best to make sure that if anything I've done in a particular video raised a question, that I do acknowledge it and circle back to why, if I can justify it. Sometimes it's just a whim or wasn't paying attention. Anyway, I threw up a new name there. When I was back in college type days, school days, certainly before that, but still in college, I don't know if it's a thing at all anymore. Probably is for younger people, but FM radio is still a big deal. Big deal in the sense that most everybody spent significant time listening to radio, and it was certainly a ready form of entertainment to have. So in in college, yeah, we had CDs. That kind of was an already out there technology, but was prolific throughout. Certainly I've always been a little more freeform when it comes to music. I like a whole wide variety of music, and am less inclined to have vast CD libraries and just, oh, I want to listen to that, and that. I've certainly got my favorites, but I like a little variety when I'm, just have random music on. And so if I was working on a paper or something, or, just driving around out about whatever, a lot of people at that point really relied on FM radio for what was new and what was coming, to get all that information that now so much we rely on online stuff. Man, I probably lost that. Just talking. As you saw, I'm carrying around a dirt block, and I popped that out because I wanted to mark my source here amongst the trees. I was kind of up on that hilltop, I think. And then once I had enough wood where I could comfortably, do something to mark the source, I just wandered off. And now the question becomes, where exactly was I when I started? We got a little closer look at the spawn chunks when we started. Man, and I don't rely on those as much as many players do, but I certainly like to mark them and remember. And I don't think, because we dug down below our feet, so I thought it would be obvious as a whole. Hey, here's where you reach down one. It was fairly level around, but oh well. I was losing it, and I don't again care too much for extensively relying on the spawn chunks. So unless I just happen to see it here in the next moment, we're going to just throw something up on top of this hill, and I will grab those spawn coordinates, and then let's take off. So this is our new unofficial spawn, the one with one birch log sitting in the middle of it. So after you escape, give me 1 second here. I'll do the whole deal, and I know you guys aren't seeing this. I am just opening up that default template notepad that I've shown in previous episodes for a world, and we're going to note the spawn coordinates, and those being -172 and 152. And we called this world Hondo. So that's all I was doing in the background there while you guys were looking at the screen. Just want to get that saved. Now we are back in business, and as we'd been already headed, we got a village there in the distance. You can play with your FOV just a bit when you're out exploring, and by turning and kind of taking in your surroundings, you can detect if you got things a little further out than looking straight ahead ends up being your shortest distance. And as you can see, as if we're looking at that rocky outcrop with the dark oak trees on it, as we move it to the edge, we see more of that and in more clarity. So then we can see the mushroom up on top of it, that when we're looking like that, that's almost lost back there in the fog. So that's it. And here we barely see that there's a little tuft of deserty looking stuff, but by the time we've spun, we've got a village there, and that's what we're going to make for here. I'm not pushing as hard to get tools and stone and all that. When as soon as I saw that village, it was at least a hopeful target that we can get over there and get a bed, and not have to stress about that first night deadline as hard as we would if we had no sheep and we're needing to dig a hole or something to be safe when the sun does go down. And of course, for me, having the last two worlds, we've done more of this early game stuff recently, and it's all a little more practice now than it had been for me previously. Previously, even like our second world, we get used to dropping we get used to we drop into the next world, but we get used to working in the midst of a full complement of tools, some enchantments, good armor. Let's take that teal bed. I apologize to whoever I inadvertently just deprived of a bed. I hope there's an extra in your town. So having the bed, number 2 priority is to come over here and see if we can locate the chest that probably goes along with this. Oh, ow. Just singed my toes. Vanishing. So far from exciting. We'll certainly take the golden pick of vanishing. We're going to use it up before, hopefully. I understand how many of you can laugh at that inadvertent blasé attitude, but yeah, I pick up a vanishing pick and go, oh yeah, we're going to use that up way before we would ever potentially be impacted. And again, even that is a joke. In hardcore, the vanishing curse has no impact on your gameplay. If you're playing in survival mode, or I guess specifically, if like most people, you're playing in survival mode at any difficulty, then if you die with vanishing on your tools, they will vanish when you die. You don't get to go back to wherever you died and pick up all your stuff. Those are gone. For us, as I went out of my way to show you guys last time, I hope you appreciate that. I showed that when you die, it doesn't matter if things vanish, because you're not getting them back either way. And we're a little low on chests in this particular world, but having the iron nuggets will get us 2 iron ingots, and we can certainly use those to get our first sword. Now, I'm not going to carry around the cacti, but at least to start, and until I get too much in my pockets, we'll keep the saplings so that we can if we end up, I don't know that we will, but say we see a temple and then we see another town, we're just taking off, we're getting away from water, and we don't end up here around these trees, that would be a pretty good use of a a bunch of saplings to already have them ready. And if, as probably is more likely the case, we kind of stay in this area and find something that will work, then we'll call it good. But as we just mentioned, we want to make the most of the... Which now I'm finding stuff I never even saw before. So, more exploration to do too. But what I was going to say is I want to find a crafting table. And I don't think there's anything in this building style. There's a cartography chart, but it's just kind of a weird little double door thingy. I want the hay, but I'm not going to, unlike the previous worlds, unless I've done a more detailed exploration around here and decide that, yeah, we need to head out and just give up on this area and go into the distance, then I'm not going to grab the hay yet. I'll leave it. We can come back and get it as needed, if needed. But yeah, I don't have even chests or anything yet, so we're still ways off. But we have a good sword. That's a nice thing to start with, and we have one good axe with our bed. So now we can back up to the point that we had been at. I want to, man, guys, I want to borrow one of your crafting tables too, with the full intent of someday returning with others. But you guys don't mind, right? I mean, it's a little thing. And before we even break it, let's get some planks. Let's make a boat. Let's make some sticks. Well, we've got them. We still need this, but now we're gonna go ahead and take the crafting table, and that way, our all fun and thrills aside, we need to get our starting tools and things going. But we do have two kind of good advantages here. One, by starting right next to this dark forest, we have two. Let's start with you guys, because I'd rather have salmon than I was gonna go grab some red and brown mushrooms and set us up with early food that way, instead of completely relying on the hay to turn into wheat to turn into bread and have a load of food that way. When you find a river that is this chock full of fish, and I don't know what particularly drives their spawning mechanics, but sometimes you will find spots in rivers that are particularly good for fish, and this seems to be one. And I have certainly found in some worlds that those linger, and you can reliably return and just grind fish every once in a while. Get a whole bunch, and that's what we're gonna do here. This has two big advantages, and is going to show us a whole different style of kind of starting a world when we're cosmopolitan here in this village. We'll be doing some cooking. We'll prioritize maybe getting some charcoal and a furnace over even the tools I was just talking about. And having a third of a stack of really good food is a real advantage on day 2, so I'm not going to rush to chop down trees or dig in the dirt. We'll do that, obviously. But not while I've got stuff to process. Okay, 24. That's a lot. And we've got some of the wheat there we could use if needed. Now, right now those are raw, so we're not ideal in a food sense. But it looks like we have a little bit of a forest fire here. I don't know that we've seen one of those, so let's just take a quick look here for people. So, generally natural forest fires are going to start from these lava lakes. And as you can see, fire does spread, and it used to spread much more wildly than is the case now. Now you'll see it. It will kind of go, and it may take out a big footprint of this forest, but more than likely it won't take out the whole thing. And it used to be that they would do just that. Once they started going, whatever the coating was didn't really allow an opportunity for that spread to slow down. It'd say, is there an available flammable block? Yes. Okay, you have a pretty good chance to jump. And, that's, if you think some of the recent news in the past couple of years of big forest fires around the American Southwest, they certainly, millions of acres can burn, and they can be devastating for the residents and the wildlife and the just the terrain and water retention, all that kind of stuff. So I'm not making light, but in the real world, even in what are increasingly rare large swaths of virgin wilderness, so no roads, no man-made fire breaks, those kind of things. Even in that type of terrain, there are usual natural fire checks, and they're not nothing like anything in life. They're not foolproof. They may become ineffective due to wind or those kinds of circumstances. Oh, come on, boat, break. But yeah, a little bit rambling there, but in the wild, the fires can be checked by conditions, wind or wind direction, and a ridge where the fire burns very quickly uphill, but then struggles to go back down the other side, where the wind would weaken a little bit, and the lateral movement of the fire would slow. And so, that's the kinds of things that firefighters, the hotshot crews and some of those kind of guys, they're trying to replicate that when they go in with the aerial tankers, planes that drop the retardant, and the crews that go and clear fire breaks out, by chopping down a row of trees, and using tractors and bulldozers and things when they can get them up there to, basically make a area of unburnable terrain, so that that fire kind of gets, can burn itself out in the area, and you just kind of admit, okay, well, we're not going to be able to save this section, and then it goes. Well, that does happen in nature too. It doesn't work out as well, perhaps, for the boundaries that we'd like. That may include a town or something, or certainly homes, and that's why we try to jump in to intercede and more quickly bring those back under control. So in Minecraft, it used to be that the game acted more like there was no such thing as a fire break and would just jump and jump and jump. Now, and it's not that they coded, the wind is blowing out of the north, so the fire will only grow to the south or anything like that. But I think they used the likelihood of spread, I think, to kind of make it more manageable or less devastating once a fire started to spread out across terrain. So that's a little sideline just by seeing that fire start. We still didn't really make a whole lot. What I'm gonna do with this boat is hopefully go and see if any of these branches of this river system that we spawned against will lead us out to a larger ocean. If we can find that, then as in all our other worlds, I would love to settle right around here. This is a great area. Everything about it so far has been really fun. Our early needs that you guys are now all familiar with, in my opinion, are well met. We have villagers next to water, so we can eventually pop a couple of boats and put them into an outpost. We have loads of wood. We've seen a couple varieties of animals. And these fish are just a bonus. Like I said, it would appear that this particular river is very favorable to salmon. Maybe these villagers started kind of, a fish farm. Maybe they do some fish breeding of their own, and we're just throwing ourselves in the middle of it. They might be a little upset about that, but we already did take a bed, so I think they kind of know we're doing our best, and it's an investment in community, because I guarantee if we do end up settling down around here, we'll do more for that village than they will do for it themselves. They'll just wander around and meh. So that's a long way of saying I don't feel bad at all about taking more of your salmon. And this is along the lines of what I talked about much earlier, that kind of wait for the taming of cat varieties to have a whole... At some point you end up with large stocks of fish, and I find it's easier to do the cats, one, when you can fly, so that you can go village to village, or when you have an outpost. As you saw in World 2, we got established enough and had enough villagers that while we weren't doing anything with them, we were grabbing cats at will, or not grabbing, but they were becoming visible regularly. So I have a feeling we've kind of curved around our spawn hill. We've got some spruce forests out in the distance on what appears to be a mountain. We've got this river, not a river, just a lake, but this could be starter home area. Even if we don't get everything we need, we'll probably just do at least a hillside house to get up through our iron and go. And then the struggle is pulling up roots. If we then need access to an ocean and don't have one around, it gets tougher and tougher to leave. And I don't want to be in that, but I also don't want to leave all this early game goodness until we've had a chance to make use of it. Then we, if we need to, then we can push on and try to go find a long-term place to make a real home, but while we have so much to make use of, that's just a quick boat ride away. Oh, fingers crossed. We got a swamp coming. Again, there's no specific order of biome, so just because you see a swamp doesn't mean you're more or less likely to have an ocean next. Obviously, beach, unique as it is as a shoreline or a margin, is one that you'll only expect to find in close proximity to coastal shores, but I think we're gonna leave as is. Did I not get the gold? Does gold break gold? What? Anybody know what just happened there? Maybe gold is not durable enough to mine gold. That's a bummer. Lessons learned, but man, I was excited. That gold block would have broken down into 9 gold ingots, and from those we could have had our first golden apple. Instead, we got nothing. A whole lot of nothing. Now, I'm not seeing, sadly, I'm not seeing any obvious oceany stuff. I want to be a little bit careful here. Which way? This is east. I'd like to get up into the heights, kind of back by those trees, I think, the spruce trees, and see if I can glimpse an ocean in any direction. This, I think, represents, about as far east as we've gotten. And as you can see, there's some pretty towering heights that we'll try to get up on. If there's nothing, then after we sleep, we'll head back and reevaluate. Maybe look to get up on top of the other mountains near to the desert and see if those point us towards some good. This is the sign of a village. That's the path terrain. And there it is. Interesting. And this world is definitely trying to give me opportunity. I think it's really still just an impression at this point. But my feeling is that there may be giant trees in that taiga. I believe so. Looking down there, and especially with the village, it can get tough to tell because of the houses and the terrain. But I believe that as we look out in there, some of that brown is the podzol, and some of these trees are giant spruce. But I could be wrong. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm hopeful. That would be another nice feature, just in this area. And again, one of those trade-offs, right? The Minecraft rarely gives without having a pro and con, and the con in this may be that we don't have a whole lot of ocean type access with so much good here in the middle of what appears to be a pretty big continent. But that's sometimes the hand you're dealt. You got to play with it. that's how we'll go. I think we're going to remember we ultimately want to get back to the west, west, maybe a little bit south, but primarily just content to work back over in the direction of our original side. There's some wolves that could be tamed. Now this would not be my favorite village. It's, the various heights and spread out, it's not real cool. I like the purple bed though. That's awesome. It's not the best for trying to bounce back and forth and around and just quickly move through whatever it has. So I don't know that I would, try to improve and take over one of the homes right here, but we'll certainly try to make use of the things they do have on hand. We'll take wood that we don't have to chop. We'll leave them the fern. We know that our pet dogs, when we have them, enjoy ferns, so maybe we'll do that again. Can be a thing, but more importantly, it's just a sawmill without any sleeping. What's weird is hearing the villagers around, but not seeing them go to bed so late. Maybe they've got a shortage of beds, so I'm gonna make sure I pick mine back up again. More pumpkins. There's a fox. I don't even know that we've seen a fox yet, so those are cool. That's not something we would be able to do a whole lot with right at the moment in terms of breeding. Since I'm hungry, I'm gonna go ahead and eat a raw rabbit. Rabbit goes into 3 different forms of food that I know of: raw rabbit, cooked rabbit, and rabbit stew. And I think once I made a rabbit farm and did some breeding of them, but it's much more common that I just hunt them when I'm out in the desert anyway. And if you get flame on a bow, that would likely be a melon as opposed to these pumpkins that are around. So it's good here in terms of our farming. As you guys saw, we got potatoes. We still don't have a carrot or a beet, but once again, and maybe they are exclusively pumpkins. Maybe they just balance out the savanna guys. I don't know, but I like that they do it. What I don't want to do is overwhelm my inventory, and I think since I have to keep reminding myself we don't have anything. We're just running around basically naked. We got a sword and a bed, and they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. Let's just keep rolling and see what else is out there. And I do, but I don't want to die because of it. So I think we checked. That was right where we slept. We haven't gotten to this upper house over here. What I was trying to say is let's, try to get a quick look at what else they have to offer. We'll throw down the coordinates and make a note so we could come back. And yes, it would appear that we have giant trees and podzol. And there was some confusion in the last series, and it wasn't so great that I cared about coming back to check it again. But I'm not sure that we ever saw it. If we did see it, we saw it in the first world briefly, and then kept on going until we died. But we'll just tour as far here as we need to get to one of these trees and then take a look. This is why I eventually want Silk Touch on a shovel. When you have a Silk Touch shovel, you can pick up this podzol material, and the giant trees like this one will be great for harvesting that fun spruce. Excuse me. But it also will allow you to grow those outside of this biome. So wherever we build a house, if we have Silk Touch on the shovel, we can come back in, grab up, spruce saplings, 4 pieces of podzol, throw them in a square, and then go. And wouldn't you know it, there, that way. I was going to say, wouldn't you know it, I'm already lost. And I don't get beyond saying, before we really go and take off, we're going to grab the coordinates of this village so that we can get back to it. And coming back this way, I don't think we got any of these little waterside houses checked. Hey, look at that. More bread. More spruce wood we don't have to chop. The sound of a zombie. Don't like that as much, but why, where, how? This is a leather workers. They have the cauldrons and give us some leather. We get boots, which are, we won't complain, we got nothing yet, so take those 3 pieces of leather. Doesn't do us much yet. How did I get more nuggets? That's awesome too. I don't remember grabbing those out of a chest, but definitely wonderful. So here we go. We're going to very quickly, I'm pulling up my screen here. I guess this time we'll add a window. We'll call it window capture 411. Looks good. Alright, let me, that should now be showing for you guys. I will just pull it here in front of the screen so you can see all of what we're looking at. Now, the reason I want to note these is, I'll call this Spruce Mountain. Spruce Mountain Village. And this was at 566 by 177. So let's talk about that for our world a little bit and what it means. We're getting further away. Our spawn is within easy sight of that first village, and I don't want to lose track of that. I also don't want to, more importantly, lose track of this one, which is not right at spawn, and would, we could burn through a whole day just bouncing around trying to relocate something we'd once found, and leaving the pumpkins, leaving some of those kind of things. You can do that with more confidence, knowing that you can come back to a specific set of coordinates and reharvest those. So it's saved. I will grow relevant points, and we just really haven't had a whole lot of reason to in recent world. So I did just want to take the time to show that. I I usually I do keep a little notepad, an analog real world notepad right here next to my laptop, and I was going to jot down the spawn and all that without wasting time, but I seem to have lost the pen that I keep with it, so I'll have to get that located. Normally we don't have to waste the time doing that, but I just wanted to let you know what man goes on. So, because we've now done that, we can do two things. The first is make another use of this and put. I'm actually going to put that back. I'm going to put back some of the things that I don't need to carry around. Until we even know where we're getting settled, it's a bit unnecessary to carry so much stuff. Alright. Let's do this. Sorry, I was fighting a yawn, and that's something I've always had. It's as I understand it, no doctor, no medical stuff, but when I was a little kid, I used to sing the church and school choirs and all that kind of stuff. Pretty much, until I grew up, my voice changed and all that, and certainly don't do a whole lot of singing anymore, as I think a lot of folks find they don't readapt to that change. But anyway, when I was a little kid, I whether it was in a church choir or at school performances, you get up and start singing. Well, your body, I'm doing it right now as I even talk about it. Your body, as it goes through singing or something like that, as it begins to feel that it's running a little low on, man, oh man, a little low on oxygen, it will force you to yawn. It will pull, and that's kind of the wake up. That's why when you get sleepy, you yawn. It's your body pulling a more concentrated lungful of oxygen, air, into your lungs. So, yeah, my parents for years, and I'd feel it coming, as I'm going, and it's a shame, and it's something I wish I could control a little better. But it reflects boredom, right? And that's kind of the worst thing that you can do, especially when you're performing. But yeah, middle school age kid standing up in front of a bunch of people, and all the parents have their video cameras or whatever recording the big event, and there I am yawning away like I got a million better places to be, and this is the most boring thing in my life. Anyway, fun little random story I don't plan to tell, but I think that's why I'm yawning right now. This is the biggest water we've seen so far, but it's not quite what we'd hoped for. And anytime you see the edges of trees in the distance there, it means, yeah, you might as well keep looking, but it can tease you. It's like, oh, is that just a little line of hills before a bigger ocean? Maybe not. We'll kind of keep looking. I do, as I've sure made it all too clear to some folks, I'm a big fan of the wood that comes out of the spruce forest. Really, I'm a fan of how it blends. I like the mixture of regular oak with spruce, as we did last time. Throwing jungle wood into the mix there. I just think when you have a couple different types brought together, it makes it pretty impressive. So this, aside from the fact that we're hearing skeletons, is really intriguing. I don't like the iciness of the ocean, but we're now to ocean. Let's pull this back up, and I'll try to remember not to keep it up. So we've gone about twice as far in the. And let's watch the X number. So currently it's at 1160, right? If we go this way, it goes down, and that is traveling west, or the direction that we know goes back towards spawn. Out into the icy cold water, blue wanders, or blue wastes is our increasing numbers. So we found an edge of the continent, and it makes sense that it goes back. But if you look at the other number here, and fortunately we can fall asleep and still keep talking about this. So the Z number 218 is tells us that we haven't drifted at all. We're within about 50 to 70 blocks of our spawn point, which I don't have the sheet. This is my window. I don't have a big wide layout or a large monitor attached to this laptop, but it was between 150 and 170, I think, that we were at spawn. So we haven't gone a terrible long way. So we can pretty much go straight back that way. And aside from the fact that we know there's a mountain out in the distance in that direction, we can pretty much get right back to spawn. What I want to do is just kind of run this coast a little bit, and we could switch back over to our boat, but I'm so taken kind of with the environment of our beginning that what I'm really hoping, it looks increasingly unlikely this way, is that coast would wrap back around. Once you find an edge, if you see that that you can follow it and it comes back around, then you can go, oh yeah, maybe heading south, we had a nice other cut that came back closer to that spawn area. This may well be as close as we get, but it's good to kind of get a look. No, I don't want to. Not that there's anything wrong with it, and I've loved my visits to Louisiana and the American Southern Gulf Coast, where we do have some kind of biome level mangrove swamp type areas, but I don't want to live in a swamp. I I would like more variety and more potential for vista. That being said, I don't think I want to live immediately in a giant tree taiga either. It's very cool, but at least in this world, I'd maybe like to live right next to it where I can look at the trees, but maybe find a coastal forest like the one in between that swamp and that biome and set up shop there. Yeah, we'll just kind of keep looking, and we're going to work our way back here just a bit. This was the little bit of land that we hopped over. It's got some turtles. It's kind of cool. So that could be our way back. It would be nice if we found a actual cut through, but we having come on the other side, we kind of know that's not real likely. So what we'll do, I keep forgetting just how bad that gold axe, especially if it's, if you're not using it on rocks, it's not maybe worse than using your hand, I guess. Anyway, snack on a little bit of bread here, and now we'll just kind of do a wide ring back, and I know from here that we can very easily make a channel through that sandbar. I'm calling it that. It's not necessarily the name of a feature or anything, but it's about what it would be. So we could easily make a path for a boat through there and make a water course all the way back. What I'm trying to do now, though, is since I'm out this way, just get a look if I can into the distance around, and we'll kind of cast a wide net back this way, and get a feel. Does this river connect over with this one? Does it keep going out that way? What would lie a little bit outside if we did end up settling in? I think, given what we've seen so far, I actually would kind of prefer to keep working back towards, at the village, but headed in that direction for a home, as opposed to right on the coast, and then rely on the boat to get out there. If we do want to make a darkroom spawn or something like that, we can first navigate by boat until we can hopefully sort of have a little bit better, fare a little better in the nether and go that way. So now we're back in the original waterway. We should, if we go back the way we had come and kind of hang to the right, we should get back to the village. Spruce Mountain, I think we called it. Spruce Hill, Spruce Mountain, something like that. But that's kind of the idea. Clearly, right there, if we do end up out in this area, we can punch through that little hill, maybe control up that lava fall a little bit so it's not taking over so much water, and then connect to that river we had just looked down on from the top of that tree. So I'm really liking the possibilities that a lot of these offer. And as far as woodland harvesting, I may be, for not the first or last time, eating my words and go, yeah, maybe we'll just end up in the how did we miss this? I hope we're oh that is a death trap. Don't say I never look. Now, as cool as these are, here you can see they make it a little more likely for the start of forest fires. And this one, I'm going to try to perform the role of Smokey the Bear and keep this from jumping to the other trees. I just literally got through talking about how we may end up settling here, and that's not going to be as appealing if all the trees burn down. One of the reasons for if we did settle in a spruce forest would be the easy access to trees. So let's not waste that. Gosh, don't you dare burn down my whole forest. Such an early game waste of time. Ow. Are you kidding me? Get... It's okay as long as it doesn't spread to this next row of trees, but man, oh man, this one is annoying. Go out. Stop hurting me. Don't fire. Dumb fires. You're so not equipped, prepared, or set for this type of activity right now. It's dumb. Okay, that's still burning there. It hasn't spread to here. And I don't think we have enough lava open in this area to really jump to these trees, but I'm just kind of try to limit the amount of flammable. This is real world forest mitigation effort. In effect, this is exactly for people that don't live in areas where that's a thing. This is exactly what real world people do when there aren't fires burning to try to prevent the likelihood of naturally caused wildfires spreading. So go out. This has truly been a less enjoyable experience than I'd hoped for. But it's wow. 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 I don't care about that, but I like these. Wow. I think we tried the other day that, and I don't think we can eat these. I think they only work potion wise. Yeah, so that's a little weird. We don't need that. Let's get our bed. Put some real good stuff out of that. We frantically ran around in our forest fighting mode, forest firefighting mode, which I think now we're kind of safe. We got one more little bit of now. Just because they're all out doesn't mean that it couldn't start. When you have open lava like this, if you watch it long enough, it'll shoot little what I guess would be pyroclastic blobs. They're really think of them in terms of embers. If you had a campfire, there goes one. So those shoot up, and that's how the game manages fires getting out of control. They can jump and hit something and then spread. Obviously, the best scenario is just to cover up the lava itself. Then it can't burn. Now, dirt won't really burn, but netherrack will. And netherrack will perpetually burn. You can just make lasting fire there. But we've certainly come a long way. Now we've got our crafting table. Before we go much further, let's see just how many ingots we can get. With 5, I'm tempted, but I think I'm going to do the right thing and increase our armor again. Had it ended up being 6 that were in hand, I would have probably opted for a bucket and a tool, probably a pick or even an axe with our current circumstances, just to help us jumpstart a little bit more of wherever we get settled down. And we've had such good fortune that it would be a shame not to quickly advance that. So here's another lava pool that has already done some clearing, and that may serve us well in this area. Let's keep this one in mind. It's cool. We have the memory of fighting a fire. It looks like it's got some caves on the other side of the river. It's been cleared a little bit. A little hilly, and hilly translates into you got to dig some dirt out. But there would be room for expansion, and we wouldn't be too far from what ocean we have found. And, we could then take little vacations back to the village that we've enjoyed to start the game. I don't know. What do you guys think? This, again, is kind of extension of the same biome. Here it's a little more flat, maybe. And when you do these, it's a trade-off, right? And this it's pretty appealing. We could fill in this water with dirt, and you're kind of leveling down hills in the area around, using that and just redistributing it out to a big level plain. And you think some of the earliest civilizations in the world, that's exactly, they were doing that in floodplains of rivers and that kind of stuff to have nice level access with lots of water. I think this could be it. We'll just be right on the cusp, just as I described, looking at big cool trees. Now we're right close to that previous portal, and obviously we've got some sugar already started. We'll have a couple different villager options. One close, one that we've still got to figure out. We don't know if that connects all the way back, but I think I'm okay with that. I hope this. It looks like it's going to clear a little bit for us anyway. Lots of lava around this area, but that's okay. We got a spruce forest. We don't, that's not going to burn everything, and I'll let it burn what it wants to. What I need to do right now is go get some stone, and this certainly looks like a candidate for a quarry. How I keep rolling through slots so incorrectly, but all right, this is good. We can get some stone. I just want to give it a quick look because clearly, there's some possibility of baddies coming up after us. But let's do this now. This was just a vanishing pick. And this is going to be a little bit for science. Okay, so we can get coal. Obviously, gold was a problem with a gold pick, which is odd. Why can't you harvest in the midst of um, gathering, right? With the same element. Oh, look at that. Now, what do we do here? Bad. Don't try to harvest iron. But hey, that was the end of our gold pick. Like I said, they don't last, but we learned a couple things. Don't use gold on gold. Don't use gold on iron. But do be thankful when you get some. Okay, now I'm thinking we're gonna, pretend almost like this is a night one scenario. We'll make a little quarry hut, kind of in fairy tales, it would be the woodcutter's hut out in the middle of nowhere. This is purely just for us to use in the night, and almost what would become a shed maybe in later years, but we're gonna use it to sleep too while we first get started. If we can establish a floor, boom. 2, 3, 4. Let's do here. 3 in. Before I get too distracted, because I think it is getting closer to dark. We got a little bit of time. 3, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Unless this opens into a cave, at which point we've still got our bed, right? Just like the other nights we've worked through so far. We can just sleep through the night and be safe, but it would be nice to have a little working space here so that we can, now that we're getting all this iron, make some tools and all these are out of their correct hand spots, but I don't care. Let's just put one more there. And, this is not ideal by any means, but if it lets us jumpstart now that we've kind of explored around and got a little home, I'm very happy with the amount of iron that we have right here. And I think this could end up feeling pretty nice. Clearly, we're in proximity to a big cave system that probably, we looked past that lava flow out in that direction. Before I get too busy, do we have oak? Yes. Let's get some oak. Let's make some doors. Protector 6. With that, while it's still daylight, let's also get this last bit of iron here. This goes against all that I would consider right and proper in the world, but for uniformity's sake, we'll just convert some of this to cobble, and hey, we got a reward for it. We got a little bit more iron. So cool. Look, I get it. It was not my idea to die in the last world, much less come back to a new world and start filling it up with more cobble, but it gets a little pattern, a little look. I don't think that looks terrible. Now, our hole. We're safe enough. We've got enough to get this going, and we're fools if we don't. So, just one. Half of those for now, and we'll cook iron. We got more iron here, and we've got more coal coming. Again, this is the base. There's the cave that we knew was lurking. So now a little bit of trickiness. Fortunately, this isn't long-term building. We want to avoid holes where we might fall through and into that same cave system. I don't think we would survive that. But we can pretty happily just wall ourselves in here. And then cook what we've been fortunate enough to gather so far, clear out the space, and then work around from the cave side to see what all is wrapped around this. But again, think shed, don't think house. This is the more temporary than what we'd failed to improve upon the last time around. Here we really just wanted to spend this night, and because we had no tools, ultimately my thought was, hey, let's get some stone and have a place where we can do that. So much more fortunate to end up with sources of iron pretty plentifully and get some coal deposits as we were going. So this night allows us to gather up any of that additional stuff, and rather than worrying about wood paneling or anything like that, here I'm just filling back in with rock as we go, and maybe we'll make a, like a chest. But the point of this isn't even to really start that early game storage. I'd much rather have that in on the other side of the river when we start um, developing over there. But we're not going to handicap ourselves just to do that. So total waste of coal early on, but we can do. I can't even see it. Where's the one more iron, and then we'll do the salmon, so we don't waste the cook. And ultimately, it will. 6 times 8 is being 48. We'll still use one more, but in the end, we'll have 48 pieces of high quality food. That's a good trade. So now we can do this, and we can do this. No, no, we can't do that. We can do that though. Good stuff. So we're mismatched and we're far from great, but we're a little more resilient in terms of our ability to fight off. As you can see, we still we're 4 short on our little armor shirts here. The gold is what gets us up there, and having leather boots, that's a big drawback. As I said, next thing is we're just gonna make a single double chest here, just enough to keep our hands free for working. So I'm not gonna particularly worry about sorting it. We're just gonna dump in things that we're not going to either immediately or currently have a lot of need for, and get the rest of the space available. Now, the next step, and again, we can range around for these varieties of wood. I'm not too worried about running low. What I'm more concerned about is having plenty of torches early on to now cautiously probe into that cave, see if we can further supplement our iron and push through to iron tools very quickly. And why I like emeralds, they're very handy, but I don't know why I'm carrying them around. So last thing here before we tuck in for the night, even though I think we've got a decent chance of jumping from the Stone Age to the Iron Tool Age pretty quickly, we will just, because they wear so quickly, we'll just get the full supply of tools here so that we're as ready as we can possibly be. Now, drop the remaining wood and the sticks off. We're going to use that for our fish when it finishes cooking. We can carry our bed there since we don't have a boat, and we'll just grab a few of those right now. Be ready. So, let me check. I can't remember when I started this. Oh, we're just a little bit in. I'm going to pause the audio for a moment. Take a quick step away in the middle of this episode. Maybe we'll let this one run a little bit longer playtime for our World 1. Apologize, I don't have copyright-free music or anything like that to play in the background here. So I hope you will hang with me, and feel free, if you're watching the playback, jump ahead a couple moments, and I'll be right back with you guys. Take care, and I'll see you in a second. Welcome back, me. I apologize, and that may push for a better prompt for me to get going on video editing, as I found out at least what I'd envisioned as my kind of old bent nails and scraps of 2x4 construction plan to build up a recap of the last death didn't work out. So I think I need something to do just a little bit of video. I know, a lot of the streamers that I enjoy watching, they certainly, distractions and things like my phone will come along and happen while you're out in the middle of your recording sessions, and I need to have a means to deal with that. So, sorry for the interruption. I had to step away there, and it's 5 seconds. It's not a couple minutes of silence. So, things for me to improve on there. Again, I apologize if I can modify that, and we're laughing about it afterwards by the time this one gets posted. Kudos to me, and we can all share a good laugh. But I think I'll probably have to do just a little bit of reading for something out there that can allow me a little bit of video editing. Video editing isn't something I've done in a long time. Again, probably kind of, I don't know why today seems to be stories of younger childhood, but I think probably middle school age, maybe early high school. I did a class or a thing on well, it wasn't like full on like an AV club kind of deal. It was that the school had a weekly or something student news broadcast kind of deal. You would see your classmates that would do a news. It was kind of like a morning announcements type deal over the loudspeaker. I don't even know if that's still a deal in schools. I would assume so. Why not use it? But who knows? Once upon a time, there was a thing in school where each morning you'd go to your what they called like a homeroom class, and you'd listen to students read the announcements, and if there was going to be a football game or Spirit Week stuff, or finals were coming up, or people needed to stop leaving trash in the main hallway, or whatever, those kind of things could get read aloud, and everybody would be on the same page. Well, this was I'm very unsure of the details, but I think it was, probably a once a week, half-hour type school news show, and I want to say it aired on basic cable, and probably nobody ever watched it except for the kids that were in it and the parents, and the kids were embarrassed when their parents gushed about how cute they were and all that kind of stuff, but it was one of those just throwaway deals, and it just comes to mind as I think about some of these skills that I currently don't have in the technology. I hadn't thought about this in a long time, but it was so limited. I wouldn't say it was like a full semester class or anything like that. In fact, I know it wasn't, but in whatever the framework of it was, there was an opportunity to learn how to, operate an actual low end. I'm sure, it was a school. It wasn't an actual TV studio, but it was a TV camera of sorts. It was on a tripod, and wasn't just a VHS deal. I don't think. Maybe maybe it was. I don't know, but yeah, they had a little studio, and whoever I think we probably randomly had jobs for each of the little episodes, but some days you would be the news reader, and some days you would be the director, or making sure that everything happened together, and you'd kind of arrange who did what when, and then cue everybody to do it. Sometimes you'd be the board op, or the person who managed the lights and which camera was active at what time, and all those pieces. And yeah, it was just a random cool experience that I hadn't given much thought to in a long time. But as I was gonna say, we in that, at least on a minor scale, we did some video editing. I know we had a couple, probably just two, but a couple different cameras, and it was cheesy, I'm sure, and it was just that that think now the local version of whatever Good Morning news show it is, where yeah, there's still a news desk kind of deal, and you've got two anchors, and they have some lighthearted banter back and forth over the thing, and go through what still amounts to the news of the day, but in a kind of a lighthearted way. So we would do all that, and we had to convert what we captured on the cameras into an actual show. So there was certainly some editing stuff that went into all that, but that part stands out a little less. It all gets a little hazier over time, but I certainly remember doing the camera stuff, and sitting behind the desk a time or two, and all that fun stuff from your childhood. Fortunately, we we grew up in an age when all that didn't just immediately end up on the internet. So I am very confident that, even if they were treasured among some families, if they videotaped the local cable access channel while it was running, so they could show it to the grandparents and all that, I'm sure those have long since any copies have either been lost to history or just forgotten about, and that's just fine with me. But the it just is, I'm not intimidated by the idea of doing a little bit of video editing on these after the fact. I don't want it to become a huge time deal, and as I'd said early on, I'm more interested in these being a full depiction of my world than I am a polished, finished show for you guys, or any other audience to watch. I'm less concerned about fades and in and out of the action, and some people may not want to sit and watch that. So rather than just trusting them to come back when it's over or jump forward in the video, I'm just going to make it not a part of it and pretend like I would never bother to do anything like that. I personally think most people would find that anyone that's saying that, I'm saving you the grind, I don't want you guys to have to watch it. In Minecraft speak, at least most of the time, that translates very directly into, I've got an AFK farm or something to do that, or I'm going to go dupe some resources, and my translation of I'm not going to share that means I'm not going to actually do it. It's kind of pervasive these days. And again, not that you can play Minecraft however you want to. It's not how I play it, though, and that's why I'm not trying to make things miserable for anybody. I hope you enjoy this, but feel free if you see that I'm working on something and it's dragging, like we'll have to build farms on this one. Now you've seen that once. If you don't want to watch it again, you got to pass. Go ahead and go check out a different stream. And it's not even that. We're in YouTube. We're not even in a live deal. So just push that little button either in your remote control or drag your mouse forward on the little play bar. You know how it all works, and you can jump towards to any point in the video, and it even gives you a little preview usually, depending on what you're watching it on, but you can kind of get a feel for, hey, what's going on if I jump to an hour into this one? What's he looking at that point? So do that. Feel free. I don't want you to have to endure anything that doesn't seem like it's worth watching, but I'm not going to just chop it out, but I would like to be able to have that means to, if I sneeze or cough and don't manage to get a mute, or if I, like I said, I do silence the phone so that you guys don't have to hear it if it goes, but, if it's bouncing around over behind me and I have to go find out what is causing it to do that today, I don't want to then have to just have dead air like I did in this video. So something for me to do. Now we are reaching that point where we are in good shape and ready to start getting set up with some actual tools here. We're not pushing deep to start a level 11 mine where we may get some diamonds, that kind of stuff yet. I'm not concerned with all this cave. I want to focus there and continue to build our iron reserves for a moment. Hopefully we can extend our reach a little bit with each venture where we drop a few more torches. We get a little deeper access, but I want to save the building the staircase and all that kind of stuff for once we get over to the land where we want to build our actual house. Now that we have a firm grasp down below here, looks like that's all going to stop. Good. That doesn't need to run all over the place. I didn't want to move it or deal with it early because it was keeping anything that may have been deep in these caves from running up towards us. So it served its purpose. And now we don't have to risk lighting ourselves on fire. I should have filled up that bucket of water. But kind of the gamble here is that we will keep getting more iron pockets in this cave as a result of our efforts. Off. Oh well. And as long as we do, we are going to see there's already some. We're going to do very well in terms of being set to dig that deeper mine with iron tools. So all this is moving in the right direction and more quickly than I'd feared. Every time you lose a world, you kind of, oh man, it's such a setback. We got to start all over and try to regain the ground that we'd initially made. All that stuff. It certainly gets you down a little bit. Oh, what? Wow. Shield was up. Now it was turned away a little bit. I was turning back to try to block it. I had lots of iron. Granted, full creeper with not even full iron. That's death. So I guess I was just a little sloppy. It's almost like the game listens to you and goes, "Oh, listen to him talking about how quickly he's getting back up, and it's not a drag to start over." I I was I was thinking two things at once. One, having that skeleton in that creeper, and I should just ignore this anytime it's early game. Forget it. Don't worry, but creepers will drop a little surprise if skeletons kill them with their bows or have a chance to. I don't know if it's 100% sure drop or not, but I was sort of running away and wanting him to be accessible to the skeleton, and at the same time, I didn't have a clear position to knock him back, and I had to jump to get away, and I think I kind of got up above him, let him blow up. Man, well, the good news is, just looking at the timer here, we have now gotten close to a full recording length, so I guess World 3 will exist uniquely of itself in a single episode. Let's record it for posterity. Man, so far the evidence says if you want to have long-lasting hardcore worlds, do not record them or offer any commentary. I guess you could maybe play and just silently record and have the game files, but yeah, they're not doing us any favors in terms of survivability. That's the worst in a while. Creeper in cave. I don't know what more to say. I don't think that one takes nearly as much analysis as the last death. But this is getting to be a bit repetitive, guys. Let's try to do a little better. I do want to spectate, and I do want to check the days. Day 7. Wow. And on the 7th day, so that was, I guess we did pretty well then. If that was where I randomly put the birch block, it was close enough to where it started. I could have sworn though I dug down a dirt block to mark my spawning location, and sure don't see it anymore. But whatever. Hondo, you came and went too quickly, and now I've got to come up with a new world name. I think I'd ranted for a while about FM radio and stuff, and I never really got to my point. My point was, when I was in college, and it still may be going, I don't listen to the radio enough to know, one of the local stations had um, a DJ, obviously. That's what they're called. He was a DJ, and I don't think I'll give him the shout out because I remember the name. Brett Saunders, I believe, was his name. And the radio station here in Colorado is KBCO, and they were adult mix. When I was in school, they seemed a little more edgy, and I think at that point they were probably still independent. Like so many, they've been bought up by a media conglomerate, and they still operate independently, as far as I know. But they were one of those, they were based out of Boulder, Colorado, and a cool little independent with a studio type radio things, and they would sponsor little concerts and have guests come in to their studio and record a couple songs when they were going to be doing a concert. So lots of cool stuff, fond memories. But Brett Saunders, who was one of the guys, and his time slot I think floated around quite a bit, as most DJs do over the years. And I don't know if he's still in the business or anything. But he used to do a thing called My Three Songs, and callers, because that was always you would call in to interact with the DJ, and you wouldn't hear it live, but you could call in or probably later email in three songs and you would group them. There would be a theme that, this is the reason why I picked these three songs. This is what ties them together. And it could be something about the artists, or, these were all made by Canadian female vocalists, or the lyrics of all these songs all have something to do with Argentina, or, all three of these songs feature guitars. Whatever random thread connected them, they would be a deal. And it was, just like the call in, and win show tickets or whatever. I think it was once a day he would run these. These are the three songs. And, I had a little jingle and all that kind of stuff. It was awesome. And it just was, as you're listening through songs, you could kind of, can you pick up on what the person who decided to request those three songs was thinking? And most of them were, for me, impossible. I'm not. I like music. I've always enjoyed it, but actors, anything really that would seem to be pop culture, I struggle with. If it's naming the actor or actress who played a certain character, coming up with those people, I can think of their faces and names and things, but I just can't put them all together. And same goes with musicians. Who recorded a particular song, or what a particular exact song title was. Name the tune a little bit. I would probably do a little better at that. Not well, but a little better than just pure music trivia, because I just don't group those things very easily. Like a lot of, many people, that's just their wheelhouse, and they grabbed it. Anyway, that's what I was kind of thinking with the worlds. I stumbled into it the last time around with a nod to Stephen King's The Dark Tower. And naming this world Hondo was a nod to a random movie that I think I've seen a couple times, and I don't know that it was originally a Netflix, I think, production. But The History of Future Folk is kind of a silly musician-based sci-fi type picture, and it's definitely indie. I certainly recommend checking it out if you haven't. It probably wouldn't fit in everybody's wheelhouse, but I like a very eclectic blend of streamed video type entertainment when it comes to that. Old B movies, classic epics, any of the genres, but with a lean to sci-fi, fantasy, action, and that kind of stuff. But then the more independent, or not just routine you can get, the better for in my taste. So Hondo was a nod to The History of Future Folk. Again, I watched it recently and hadn't seen it in a long time. If you get a chance, go check it out. And I think I will try to come up with something else. I'm gonna keep pushing through here, and next episode will be World 4. Man, we are racking them up. Sorry this one didn't work out. I was excited. I thought we had a cool little start to a home there, but next world will have new strengths and weaknesses, so we'll try it out for now. And as always, I want to sincerely thank the folks that are supporting the channel by just dropping in and giving it a watch. That is all I hope, is that people can find it and have a chance to enjoy it if they do. And if you do, even the likes certainly help. Everybody knows that's watched YouTube, but a comment to let me know the things that you really do enjoy, or anything that you'd prefer to avoid. I would always appreciate that feedback. So thanks so much for your time. We'll look forward to seeing you in World 4 in the next. Until then, have a great day.